from the blackest corners of your mind, they call, pulling you deep into shadow, twisting your senses, keeping you from sleep. It's time to face your darkest fears. This is Tales to Terrify. Good evening, children of the night, and welcome. We have 3 tales for you tonight about a baby in the womb who realizes she's not alone, how a warm fire and a cup of tea can make almost anything palatable, and a lost child in need of a helping hand. Our first story for the evening comes from Warren Benedetto. Warren Benedetto writes dark fiction about horrible people, horrible places, and horrible things. For more information, visit warrenbenedetto.com and follow at Warren Benedetto on Twitter and Instagram. Children of the Night, join me for Warren Benedetto's Before, first published by Dreadstone Press, February 2023.
This is the safe space, inside, before my passage into the unknown after. The rush of mother's blood and breath soothes me as I drift weightlessly in her womb. When I stretch, I feel the pressure of her hands caressing me, letting me know she is there for me, holding me, protecting me. She is my shelter, my world, but soon I must leave. There's no more room. Especially now that she is here. I don't know where she came from or when she appeared. I just know that I'm not alone in here anymore. There is another now. A not mother. A not me. A third. At first she is silent. She floats before me, a tiny, comma-shaped mass of glistening black flesh. I watch as her cells differentiate into limbs, as her heart spasms to life, as ink-black blood begins to pulse through her veins. Despite her rapid growth, her face remains unformed. No eyes, no ears, no mouth. But still, she speaks. She tells me this womb is just a waypoint, a brief layover before I pass into the maelstrom that is the after. She tells me about the awful things awaiting me there. Sadness, loneliness, betrayal, loss. I ask her how she knows these things. Has she been to the after? And how did she get in here with me? She doesn't answer. She just smiles, her featureless black face splitting to reveal bright pink gums lined with pin-sharp teeth. The sight fills me with an emotion I've never experienced before. Fear. I'm in the presence of something dangerous, something that could hurt me, fill my eyes with needles and stab broken glass into my gums. A predator. I try to turn away, but there's no place for me to go. My back presses into the side of the womb, distending it. Somewhere in the ether, Mother groans with discomfort. "You don't have to go to the after," she whispers. "There's somewhere else." "Where?" "The before." I don't remember the before. I just remember the now. What's it like? I ask. Peaceful, she says. Do you want to see? I nod. Then come. She reaches for me. And I can stay there? Oh, yes. She smiles again. You can stay forever. Relieved, I take her hand. And then I'm gone.
That was Warren Benedetto's Before, as read by S.H. Cooper. S.H. Cooper is a Florida-based voice actress and multi-genre author with a focus on horror and fantasy. When not playing make-believe in her recording booth or on the page, she's playing make-believe in video games or talking in weird voices to her husband and pets. Thank you, S.H. Our second tale tonight comes from Derek Allen Jones. Derek Allen Jones is an author of very short stories about very long nights. His work has appeared in the Saturday Evening Post, Gamut, Spooky, and Utopia Science Fiction, among others. Find it all at DerekAllenJones.com. Listen with me, children of the night, to Derek Allen Jones's Tick, 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 first published in The Molotov Cocktails Flash Monster 2023.
He cherished the warmth from the fireplace as it washed over his face and brought the air inside the cabin to a temperature he would have cursed only a few months prior. The soft flannel of his armchair wrapped itself around him, perfectly formed to the shape of him over decades of his nestling. As the voices on the radio sang of swallows and of Capistrano, the tick-tick-ticking of knitting needles kept an almost perfect rhythm. And when he looked at the woman who held those needles, she flashed him the same half-smile she'd given him for over 40 years. He struggled then to decide whether he should let himself fall asleep or hold on to this moment for just a while longer. The evening was so pleasant, and things in the cabin were good. So he landed on the latter, comfortable in the knowledge that sleep would be there when he wanted it. He took a long, slow sip of the tea that she had placed on the table beside him, and it did very much the same work inside of him that the fire had done from without. He sank into the music as the needles ticked alongside it. Tick, 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 tick. "When did you start knitting?" he asked, when it occurred to him that in all the years he'd known her, he couldn't recall having seen her with needles or with yarn. "I've always knitted," she answered, never looking up from her work. As he watched her hands move with such certainty, he decided it must have been true. It was, after all, very late, and he was very sleepy, and he found little difficulty in believing that he'd been mistaken. "Drink your tea, dear." He did as he was told, and it seemed a good suggestion as the subtle hint of cinnamon filled his mouth and his mind. He considered only briefly standing up from his seat to place a log on the fire, but the chair was so very comfortable and the fire was still burning steadily, and he wasn't entirely sure that his legs would move if he told them to. Instead, he took another sip of his tea, and he let himself drip deeper into the quiet glamour of the evening, into the warmth of the fire, and the pleasantness of the company, and the elegance of the song still coming from the radio. The song, he thought, must have been a very long one, as he was now aware that it had been going for quite some time. He had known the tune since childhood, but didn't recall such staggering length. No matter, he thought. It was a very pretty song. He must have misremembered. Tick, 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 tick. "What are you making?" he asked her then, as much in an attempt to keep himself awake as out of any curiosity. "I'll show you when it's finished," she told him. "Something special just for you. Have you finished your tea?" He took another long, slow sip until the cup was empty. Then he placed it on the table and folded his hands on his stomach. Sleep was doing its very best now to overtake the man, but he was resolute, and he resisted it for the most part. His hands, however, didn't appear to share in this resolution. They seemed to have let sleep in, refusing to respond to even the most basic of commands. The man didn't mind this all that much. His position was comfortable, and there was no work he needed to do, so he would be completely content to stay like this until sleep won him over. Tick, 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 tick. He must have dozed for a moment or two. When he opened his eyes again, the thing the woman was knitting had almost doubled in size. He opened his mouth to ask her if it was nearly finished. But the words he would have used refused to form on his lips. She looked over at him then, and she shot him that same half-smile. "Almost done," she said, and she laid it down beside her. "But you have to try it on." She removed the blanket that had covered her lap, and as she crossed the room to him, he noticed the spinnerets on her thorax that had produced the threads. She began to slip the sack that she knitted with those threads over the man. He was almost entirely certain that she'd never had spinnerets, or even anything that he might have classified as a thorax. He was equally certain that the appropriate response in this moment was abject horror. But the fire was still so warm, and that song was still so pretty, and the sack that was now being closed at his feet was even softer and fit him better than the flannel of his old chair. Maybe he'd been mistaken. Maybe the spinnerets had been there all along. He was, after all, very, very sleepy.
That was Derek Allen Jones's Tick, 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 as read by Dan Gurzynski. Dan is a broadcast and audio engineer by trade and has worked on many projects for local public stations. Lately, he's been recording literary works for LibriVox, as well as tales to Terrify, and has narrated several audiobooks for Audible. Thank you, Dan. Our final tale tonight comes from Samir Sirk Morató. Samir Sirk Morató is a scientist, artist, and flesh heap. Some of their published and forthcoming work can be found in Flash Fiction Online, Ergo, and the Drabblecast. They're on Twitter and Instagram at Spicy Cloaca. Children of the Night, lend me your ears for Samir Sirk Morató's Oyogaseru, first published in the anthology Water by Erie River Publishing, 2023.
The teachers always ignore the missing child poster in the lounge. The girl on it, 10-year-old wheelchair user, Ishii Ume, can't mind. She smiles as adults pin coupons and lesson plans on her. Every time Hiroe enters the teacher's room for a bi-weekly scolding, she notices a new document creeping over Ume's face, another paper starfish inching forward to consume a corpse. What a cruel way to go, Hiroe thinks. People have already forgotten her, even Mother. I bet if Ume was cuter, people wouldn't cover her up. Ume's photograph stares at Hiroe, eyes flat, a lottery ticket hiding her smile, gagging her. Aromas of tea and printer ink float past her dead nose. No one in the busy grid of desks looks at her. Hiroe, Ms. Kikuchi, and she is Ms. Kikuchi here, not Mother, sighs. Ogawa Makiko says you stole her backpack. Hiroe turns her attention away from the poster. Her mother grimaces. Hiroe caused concern or disappointment always pinches her brow. Today, it's disappointment. On days when Hiroe recognizes herself, she always registers their similarities. Her and Mother's bony hands, short fuses, and long necks are all traits they share now, but the elder Kikuchi's thinning hair, age spots, and deep crow's feet are all inheritances Hiroe can expect. Mother's brow creases. She robbed me first, Hiroe says. Don't lie to me, Hiroe. Somewhere in that hereditary river lies love. Patience, too. Hiroe spies neither of those today. Ms. Kikuchi eyes Hiroe's uneven locks. Hiroe's lip curls. She props a knobbly knee against the desk. I am not lying, Hiroe says. Ogawa stole some work from me. I want it back. The other teachers wait. Hiroe hears their laughter in the spitting coffee machine. Their schadenfreude greases the copier. Mother hides her own medication and sympathy for Hiroe in drawers at home, but sometimes her rage commutes to work with her. The hierarchy holds its breath. Ms. Kikuchi's gaze wavers. Vicious delight courses through Hiroe. If she keeps running hot today, she may cross the finish line without being punished. She crosses her legs. One of her socks descends her shin. Eavesdroppers continue aimlessly shuffling their papers. Makiko is an honor roll student, Ms. Kikuchi murmurs. You aren't. What work would she steal from you? Stubbornness seals Hiroe's lips. Still, she wallows, wet under the collar with shame. Mother carries her enough as Mother. She shouldn't need to do that as cruel, self-flagellating Ms. Kikuchi. Maybe if she gets the birthday card back, she can explain herself and apologize to Mother after school. Maybe she'll understand. Maybe. What Ogawa stole isn't important. Hiroe picks at her skirt. She took it because she knew she could. Everyone thinks it's funny when they harass me or get me in trouble. I've told you that 100 times before. I'm a bad student. I'm not dishonest. Don't you believe in me? Her begging sounds reedy, futile. Mom's fingers twitch. Hiroe notices another web of age lines near her thumb. At school, her mother seems less like a person and more like a pastiche of mascara, frown lines, and hall passes. A woman turned worm through her feeble grip on authority. A parasite who does not realize her host has sucked her guts out of her. Hiroe wants to hold her mother as much as she wants to loathe her. The only person who gets you into trouble is you, Hiroe. Mother cannot look at her. Please return Makiko's backpack before the end of the day. I would appreciate it. The ultimatum comes as a familiar slap. 1,000 conversations boil through Hiroe's mind. Makiko's smug giggle and the psychiatrist's drone squirm into her ears. Magma courses through Hiroe's veins. She stands. The chair skitters back. I won't return the fucking backpack until I find what I'm missing. Mother's cheeks redden. All 56 years of her life crash into her face. Her frown lines and graying hair and every iota of her humiliation age her further. Enough! She flings some packets together. Her crow's feet are damp. Hiroe, I know you're struggling, but you are 15. This delinquency is unacceptable. It is embarrassing. You cannot steal from your classmates. If you don't mind your language or return Makiko's backpack, I'll write you up again. You'll get no special treatment from me. The woman who peels oranges for Hiroe's lunch with shaking hands and makes her tea is not here. Even at home, it is growing harder to find her. Hiroe wants to spit on Ms. Kikuchi's desk. Spitting is bolder than sobbing. Why is her subjugation inevitable? Makiko and her ilk always win. The school always wins. Hiroe falls back into her seat before Mother can order her to. Teachers mutter together. Is there something you want to say? Mom steeples her hands. It is less a gesture of victory than it is an attempt to piece herself together. When they lock eyes again, Hiroe swiftly looks away. What a birthday present this is for her old, tired mother. Another call into the office. Seeds for another screaming match. Grounds for another discussion of her personality disease. No, I'll return Ogawa's backpack tomorrow, Hiroe murmurs. From behind a shroud of flyers, Ishii Ume watches her shrivel. Closure settles in. It smells of ballpoint pens and dismissals. Coppery hatred flecks the back of Hiroe's teeth. Thank you, Ms. Kikuchi says. Again, Hiroe jerks to her feet. Countless detached gazes watch her. A scream tears at Hiroe's lips. To contain herself, she points at Ishii, the one non-judgmental observer. Has anyone found her yet? Hiroe asks. Ms. Kikuchi's confusion vanishes when she realizes where Hiroe is pointing. She sighs. No. Mother shifts. You're dismissed, Hiroe. I read that last year they found her wheelchair in a ditch 9 miles from our school, Hiroe says. The teacher's room shivers. Is that true? I don't know. Ms. Kikuchi fumbles with a pen. She looks small and old. Please go back to class. You know. You just don't want to talk about Ume. Ms. Kikuchi's head falls onto her waiting hand. Nearby, the printer screeches, grinding out copies, shredding the piece. Hiroe's fists tighten. We're not talking about that girl any longer. Mortification saturates Mother's voice. Please go back to class. That girl? Hiroe spits. Come on. Her name is Ishii Ume. It's on the poster. You tutored her, Mother. You knew her. If we can't talk about anything else, can we at least talk about her? Hiroe, Ms. Kikuchi said that you're dismissed. Mr. Kinoshita, the slim history teacher, drifts towards the desk. Hiroe shrinks back. Other teachers shuffle towards them. Mr. Kinoshita inclines his head towards Mother. Ms. Kikuchi, Do you need any help? The flush fades from Mother's face. Her hunch diminishes. She looks back to her pile of ungraded trigonometry quizzes. What is left of Mother vanishes into Ms. Kikuchi again. Hiroe quivers, overwhelmed by the urge to cry, by the need to choke the secondary school serpents that bound her. Her mother sits there, a garrote around her throat so tightly that it's hidden, unaware that she is imprisoned, maybe even unaware that she is dead. No, thank you, Mr. Kinoshita. Ms. Kikuchi looks through her daughter. Please return Makiko's backpack tomorrow, Hiroe. The cesspool, an overgrown pond that festers in the woods a mile out from school, is the perfect spot to smoke cigarettes and hide secrets. A crooked dock bobs on the pond's black expanse. Frogs croak in its shallows. Rhododendron blossoms war against the stench of putrefying algae. Earth squelches beneath Hiroe's shoes as she walks to the pond. Mosquito blood blotches dot her arm. Hiroe shivers as a breeze nips at the crevices in her uniform. She wishes for better socks. Hiroe recovers Makiko's backpack from the shin-high weeds that rim the pond. She drags it onto the dock, then sits at the end. The wood groans beneath her weight. Makiko's tangerine keychain jingles. I guess that bitch is getting her bag back, Hiroe thinks, retrieving a cigarette and lighter from her pocket. I'll look through it again later. Mother's birthday card is in there somewhere. I didn't spend 5 hours picking out paper and drawing that tortoise for Makiko to ruin everything. The dock creaks as she lays back. Hiroe's legs dangle off the end, shoes brushing the water. She exhales a stream of smoke. It disappears into the yellowish sky. The woods stifle the pond's shores. The sky looks ill, cancerous. It never shakes the dull film over it. To look heavenward here is to look out from the inside of a giant frog's eye. Hiroe closes her eyes. If she didn't need to go home today, she wouldn't. It may be Mother's birthday, but the sole joys mother and daughter share now are cigarettes and courtesies between mental breakdowns. Hiroe cannot keep herself from treading on Mother's dreams. She ruins them with every involuntary explosion of mania or misconduct. She ruined them, in truth, the instant her brain began betraying her. And though Hiroe did not exist back then, she knows she ruined Mother's dreams the instant her mother needed a pillbox. For Mother's birthday, I should disappear, Hiroe mutters. But I'm sure she'd cry about that too. Everyone else would probably cheer. Makiko's keychain rattles. The dock sways. A ripple laps against the dock. Hiroe struggles to recall Basho's haiku about the frog disturbing an ancient pond. Does it even apply here, in this place of scum and stagnation? Cold fingers hook into the crook of her shoe. Hiroe yanks her legs towards her chest. The fingers come loose. She scrambles onto her feet. Her cigarette drops from her lips, rolling through a gap in the dock and falling into the pond. It fizzles. In the shallows, flies scatter. A whine floats from the water. Who's there? Hiroe glares into the pond. I know you're here. Come out. Another ripple disturbs the pond. Slowly, a white mass rises from the depths. Algae billows around it. Hiroe first thinks a dead turtle is surfacing. Then she sees the sunken implication of a nose. Fuck! Hiroe's guts churn. Katydids sing as the corpse floats up. Its forehead breaks the surface first. Then the bulging milky eyes, which suffocate beneath sagging lashes, and the nibbled-on lips. Ishii Ume's half-submerged face stares out of the pond. Ow, she says. You kicked me. Hiroe's words decay in her mouth. Sweat slicks her palms. She watches, frozen, as Ume's decomposing head dips underwater again. Ishii Ume's cheeks are fuzzy with threads of floating muscle. She peers at Hiroe. No air bubbles escape her slack mouth. Pond scum cushions the rubbery scraps of her tongue. Hey, Ume says. Did you hear me? You kicked me. She's here. Hiroe's mind races. The poster's text scrambles to nothing in her skull. She's been here. I've been looking for you, Hiroe hears herself say. The split in Ume's lip curls up to a comma-shaped nostril. Swollen skin stretches over her cranium. Her widow's peak slices into the zenith of her broad, fragile forehead. Wow, Ume says. You were? Really? Yeah. Hiroe's windpipe closes. She clears her throat. Yes. Ume smiles. She leans in. Hiroe restrains the urge to retch at the sight of her wan gums. Flecks of teeth show through them, mussel shells peeking from a muddy bank. What's your name? Ume says. None of your business. The terror of being recognized tides through Hiroe's body. Did mother ever speak of her to Ume? Hiroe sickens at the thought of familiarity entering Ume's gaze. Being known by the dead puts her closer to them. Hiroe rocks on her heels. Ume, she says. Why are you here? My mom, Ume says. Hundreds of expletives and questions clog Hiroe's mind. All that emerges is, I'm sorry. It's okay, Ume says. She can't hurt me anymore. Can you get out? No. Water runs into Ume's mouth as she speaks. Her skeletal fingers bob near the lily pads. A gauze of flesh strains between them. I'm stuck. A tadpole wriggles into her collar. It travels across Ume's neck, a sentient clotted vein. Hiroe gags. Ume attempts a coy smile. You look upset, she says. A swim might calm you down. No thanks, Hiroe says. Why not? Please, Hiroe? Hiroe stiffens. How do you know my name? I heard you talking to yourself before, Ume says, when I was hiding in the weeds. I like Hiroe. It's a nice name. Thanks. Hiroe steps back. Her relief at Ume's lack of recognition crumples beneath the shame of being hidden and the viscerality of decomposition. How long has Ume been here, eavesdropping on loitering students? Does mother realize how close she is? Does she suspect Ume's mother of filicide? A cold sea of comprehension surrounds Hiroe. it makes her small. She struggles not to capsize and become lost in it. All of the search parties and all of the missing posters hadn't mattered, nor had Mother's midnight sobbing in her bedroom or temple donations, while everyone vomited sympathy on Ms. Ishii's doorstep, while everyone reassured her that Ume was probably alive. Her child had rotted in the cesspool, right where Ms. Ishii had put her. People on crime shows are wrong, Hiroe thinks. Knowing is worse than not knowing. Her pile of questions about Ume's mother collapses. She cannot be monstrous enough to ask them. "Do you really hate Ms. Kikuchi?" Ume says. "You curse at her a lot when you're here." Hiroe shakes free of her spell. She wets her lips. Her mother's baleful face hangs in the nighttime corners of her mind, pockmarked with stress lines and tears, cratered as the moon. Hiroe thinks of the household silence gathered around her condition and Ume's memory. When confronted with disruptive truths, her mother wanes. "Ms. Kikuchi," Hiroe says, careful, "can be unfair and mean to her daughter. That's what makes me curse at her. But I don't hate her. I know I can be that way too." Ume pouts. "When Ms. Kikuchi tutored me, she was great. You and her daughter are losers. Ms. Kikuchi brought me cherries and funny-smelling erasers. I missed her after she quit. I miss school." Ume sinks. With a start, Hiroe realizes that Makiko's backpack is gone. Dread flays her stomach when Ume resurfaces, clenching the bag in her spidery hands. It flounders. A lily pad root sticks to the tangerine keychain. "You need this, right?" Ume says, her wide eyes aping innocence. Sunshine glimmers on the broken lipids, clouding the water around her. "Hell no," Hiroe says. "That's not mine. Keep it." Ume tears open the submerged backpack. She empties it. All of Makiko's work spills out. Her folders, papers, and jelly scrunchies tumble sideways in the dark water, so many petals in the wind. They pirouette around Ume's emaciated arms. She peeks into the bag. Hiroe digs her nails into her thighs when Ume's fist rises out of water, a wrinkled pink birthday card in its grip. "Look at this!" Ume flips the disintegrating card open, gleeful. "Someone had a birthday. No one ever made me cards like this. I wish they had. I miss art class. Dear Mother, happy birthday. I know I'm not a good daughter." "Stop it." "But thank you for tolerating me. I'm sorry. I love you." Aww. Ume contemplates the card, mournful. Wood groans under Hiroe's feet as she steps towards the end of the dock again. Vulnerability squirms under her skin. "That's not yours," Hiroe says. "Give it back." "Why? You said this backpack wasn't yours." "It's not, but that card is mine," Hiroe says. "My classmate stole it from me." "That's terrible," Ume says. "I'll give it back." She drifts towards the dock. Do people make fun of you? They made fun of me. My mom told Ms. Kikuchi that I was better off dead. Ms. Kikuchi got all red and laughed. She quit after that. She wouldn't even say hi to me at school.
Ume extends the card. It flops. Its ink blurs. Rage and sickness coalesce in Hiroe's heart. They barely combat her anxiety. Ume's wrist quivers 2 inches above the pond. Hiroe cannot reach for the card while standing. With a lake of trepidation sloshing in her, she kneels. Splinters sting her kneecaps. Hiroe leans forward, feels the pond widening beneath her, then pulls back. She exhales. "Can you get closer?"
I'm close enough,
Ume says. "Never mind." Hiroe squeezes her knees. "I don't want the card back."
Liar,
Ume says.
You think I'm gross and you don't want to get near me. You're just like everyone else.
I am not. Hiroe curses. She wriggles onto her belly. Ume watches her reach out again, unblinking. The stench of Ume's waterlogged flesh blows into Hiroe's nose. Bile burns her esophagus. The soggy card hovers nearby. Hiroe's fingertips quiver. Mother's worried murmurs fill her ears as longing and jealousy melt Ume's face. That's the face my reflection makes at me, Hiroe thinks, when it hates me. The card warps under Hiroe's touch as her fingers brush Ume's rubbery nails. Ume seizes Hiroe's wrist. Hiroe lashes out. The card rips. Hiroe stumbles back onto the dock, 3/4 of it dangling from her hand. Mucus coats her 2 scraped knuckles. Ume clutches her dented temple, a wad of pink paper stuck to her collar. Her left eyebrow hangs, half peeled off. An apology bubbles in Hiroe's throat before her lunch pushes it aside. Ume's touch stains her arm. Hiroe whirls, puking into the pond on top of her floating cigarette filter. Ume bursts into tears. Slime leaks from her nostrils. Pond water cycles through her, pouring out of her eye sockets. She thrashes, beating at the lily pads, then Makiko's backpack. White petals and drops of fat fly. The sickly sky bears down.
I hate you,
Ume bawls.
I hate you.
Hiroe's puking stalls. She wipes her mouth, then hurls the remains of the card onto the dock. The paper sticks to its boards. Pain sparks through Hiroe's fingers. The guilt of hitting a dead girl wedges beneath her nails. Even now, Hiroe's pulse thuds in her ears. A hiss escapes Ume. Hiccups shake her deflated lungs. She yanks her wilted hair out of her eyes. It drips into her concave temple.
You can't fight,
Ume says.
Your fingers didn't curl up right. You won't be able to fight your mom when she gets tired of you.
You don't know what you're talking about. Hiroe imagines her mother, exhausted, picking at a slice of cake alone in their dark house, and contemplating the stacks of ungraded papers and psychiatrist bills. Thinking of Ms. Ishii's words. Mother's gaze roves to the tortoise-patterned knife block in the kitchen, the rope in their closet, the sleeping pills.
You're a burden.
Ume's lower lip flops.
No one loves those. Invisible coupons and printouts plaster Hiroi's skin. She pictures a new student taking her desk, oblivious. Other teachers murmuring floods her ears. What was that girl's name again? She was so troublesome. Was it Harue? Hisoyo? Hiroko? It's best not to talk about her. Go back to class. The weight of the entire, uncaring, oblivious school building crushes Hiroe's chest. Frogs shoot out from the cattails, croaking in fear when she bolts for the shore. Ume sniffles. Sliver by sliver, she submerges. Her crown of hair floats above her. With every inch of darkness and ribbon of algae that envelops her, she resembles the photograph on the poster more. From the shore, Hiroe sees her vanish under the lily pads. Silence blows through the weeds. Then Hiroe's sob. Then crickets chirping. Then the jangle of a keychain. I'm sorry. Ume's whisper scratches the underside of the dock. I just want someone to stay with me. No one missed me. No one will miss you. It's not going to hurt anybody if you stay. Hiroe spits. She wipes her face and bites back an insult. The greenery beneath her feet grounds her. As disgusting as Ume is, she doesn't need to suffer more. If Ume's mother hadn't killed her, what grade would she be in now? 6th? Ume's torpid angles cannot be squashed into a primary school uniform now. Hiroe pictures her own mother returning to school, underweight, gaze lowered, and muttering to the principal, Hiroe won't be returning. No one would search hard for me either, Hiroe thinks. Only picture-perfect girls get looked for. The rest of us die of exposure. Hiroe stands in the grass, socks wet with dew, watching discarded ume drift in the pond. Even decay has abandoned this girl. Though her blood spoiled, her fat dissolved, and her organs slurried, she remains here, a hollowed hole, an after-image of herself. I can't stay with you, Hiroe says. Ume sniffles. Don't leave me. Please, don't leave me. Ms. Ishii's phantom hand rests on Hiroe's shoulders. The weight of her mother's averted gaze drowns her. Hiroe chokes on a cry. Her helpless rage is searing, so great that it paralyzes every muscle in her body. No amount of violence, thrashing, or screaming can express it. Hiroe stands there consumed. Why does mother insist on dragging her through gauntlets that suit society but not them? Hatred kindles in her. How many dead girls must mother see before she defends them? The blinding rage evaporates. Hiroe straightens as if struck by lightning. Ume, she says, I can't stay, but I can take you with me. Do you want out of this pond? Ume splutters. She lurches closer towards the shore, rolling over herself in desperation. Yes, yes, yes! Bring me the backpack and I'll carry you out, Hiroe says. You'll need to pick me up, Ume says. I can't move outside the pond. Hiroe assesses the rotting girl in front of her. She braces her hands on her hips. Promise me you won't touch me again. I promise. Makiko's backpack tilts as Ume nudges it forward. Mud squelches beneath Hiroe's shoes. Water floods her socks. Hiroe grabs the bag, finishes yanking it open, and sets it on the shore. Ume wallows in the shallows, a piece of debris. Her legs are gone. Gray pieces of flesh speckle the curve of her pelvis. Razor-thin gossamer caps a foramen by her tailbone, converting it into a blurry spyglass lens. The other foramen is clear. Hiroe looks through it and sees the murky grave they are leaving behind. "Thank you," Ume whispers. Hiroe scoops her up beneath the armpits. Several eels writhe out of their dens in Ume's waist. They splash back into the pond. Hiroe refuses to breathe through her mouth. Ume's hair obscures her tiny breasts. When Hiroe sticks her in the backpack, a long strand catches in the zipper teeth. A corner of Ume's scalp rips free when Hiroe yanks on the zipper. She closes the bag hastily to avoid looking at Ume's skull. "Are we going now?" Ume says, muffled. "Yes," Hiroe says. "We are." By the time Hiroe reaches school, she reeks of pond scum. Flies encircle her head in a buzzing black halo. She squelches her way down the hall, a trail of wet footprints in her wake. Distorted, distant sounds of club meetings and chatter vibrate against Hiroe's body. Ume asks questions. "Where are we? What's happening? Who's there?" And Hiroe answers them aloud. Students ogle her. She marches to the teacher's room. The door is unlocked. Several teachers start when Hiroe barges in. She plants the backpack in the middle of Ms. Kikuchi's cluttered desk. Pens clatter onto the floor. "I have Ogawa's backpack," Hiroe says. "Hiroe, what did you do? Are you all right? What is that smell?" Aghast, Ms. Kikuchi picks a hair off Makiko's backpack. Hiroe glimpses her mother beneath the mask, tired, caring, entrapped. She reclines in the chair in front of her desk, crosses her legs, and pulls out a cigarette. "Please," Ms. Kikuchi cries, "no smoking in here." Hiroe lights her cigarette. "I found her." "You found who?" "You know who, Mother," Hiroe says. "Say her name." Ms. Kikuchi unzips the bag. A cloying hand bursts out of the backpack. Ms. Kikuchi's wail yanks the other teachers to their feet. The missing poster looks on, its smile hidden. Gurgles of joy commingle with the printer's grinding. "Ume!" Mother screams, her cry fresh, ready to repeat itself until her voice fails. "Ume!" Hiroe takes a drag of her cigarette. "I knew you remembered," she says.
That was Samir Sirk Morató's Oyogaseru, as read by Anne-Marie Lewis. Anne-Marie Lewis has been bringing the written word to audio life since 2018. Her narration work crosses many genres and reflects her varied interests outside the booth: gardening, youth sports, classical and liturgical music, forgotten histories, mathematics, and the search for the best ramen broth. She lives just outside Chicago with her family. Thank you, Anne-Marie. Well, children of the night, the hour is late and we've run out of tales to tell. For now. Tales to Terrify is made possible by the tremendous generosity of our supporters on Patreon and PayPal. Incredible fans like Lestle Baxter, Amanda Carrillo, Amanda Gottfried, and Orion D. Hegre, whose generous support keeps these lights on and flickering ominously. If you're not a supporter, head over to patreon.com/Tales to Terrify. You'll find all kinds of perks, like ad-free episodes, bonus content, and one-of-a-kind collectibles. Every dollar goes back into this show, and we appreciate your support so much. Want another way to support the show that doesn't cost you a cent? Head over to Podchaser, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts and drop us a 5-star review. You'll not only put an unnaturally wide smile on our faces, but help new listeners discover our terrifying tales too. You can show your love of the show out in the world with some Tales to Terrify merch. TalesToTerrify.com/merch will take you to our TeePublic store, where we've got a great collection of creepy custom and curated designs. Tales to Terrify is produced by Seth Williams, Meredith Morgenstern, Andrew Gibson, Crystal Hammond, Spencer Disparty, and myself, Drew Sebastini, with original theme by Nebulous Entertainment. Tales to Terrify is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, No Derivatives license. Join us again next week as we search for the missing with more Tales to Terrify.